It's a new manufacturing technology that will allow us to build structures atom by atom, with each atom placed exactly where we want it.
If you're building up from atomic molecular building blocks, the question is sort of roughly, what can you make from atoms? And that's a very broad class of things.
The structures that we build in nanotechnology are measured in terms of nanometers. 5 or 6 carbon atoms side by side equals 1 nanometer, and you will be building parts at that scale.
There's a very conservative design for building computers, comparable in power to modern CPUs, but occupy approximately 1 cubic micron. Putting the power of a modern-based CPU into a cubic micron lets you deliver that kind of computational power in a volume that's about 1/1000th that of normal cells in your body. That says something about the kinds of tools that will be available for biomedical instrumentation and intervention in the future. Increasingly, we're seeing software being translated into material objects. We can go a lot further in that direction.
The idea is that we'll have machines on our desks that can extrude material of any type. You can think of it sort of like the Star Trek replicator. You ask for what you want, you provide raw materials and energy, and out comes the object, perhaps with embedded computation.
So how would I send the device to you?
You would send an object just as information through the internet, a file containing data.
So I could email a toaster to you.
Perhaps even better, you could email toast.
When we get to the 2030s, the 2040s, the non-biological portion of our intelligence, the machine portion, is going to be millions of times, ultimately billions of times more powerful than the biological portion.
Biology is very intricate and very impressive, but really suboptimal compared to what nanotechnology will ultimately build.
Nanotechnology can build with all the atoms in the periodic table. Biology can only build with a limited number of them.
Another application could be scanning the brain, pick up enough salient details to basically capture the mind.
NanoBots can be used to record substantially all the traffic to get a complete picture of the state of your brain at any given moment. In principle, you could put a nanobot at almost every synapse in your brain. Once you do that, your nanobots would be able to read out the signals that were being transmitted. So in that sense, you could take complete control of the human mental apparatus, the visual apparatus, the hearing apparatus.
So we could back up our brains.
In principle, that's possible, yes.
And that could extend our intelligence, maybe extend our memory, but it could also provide virtual reality from within the nervous system. Shut down the signal coming from your real senses and replace them with the signals that you would be receiving if you were in a virtual environment.
We could think of it as places that don't exist in physical space, but that people can inhabit and meet and do things that humans do, build things, exchange things. And the wonderful thing is, reality's just gotten a lot bigger.
As virtual reality becomes more and more realistic, we'll be spending more and more of our time in these environments. And some of the people that we interact with will be projections of real biological people, and some of them will be artificial people that are just existing in this virtual reality.
It's going to be wonderful in many ways, some of which are unimaginable. It will bring lots of new problems we can barely anticipate at this point. But what reality is, it's just going to be huge and much more limited by imagination as opposed to material constraint.
Nanotechnology eventually will be self-replicating. It'll be feasible to create an entity that could actually go into a natural environment, gather materials to create a copy of itself, and self-replicate, just the way biological cells do.
What it is you have a large number of nanorobots slowly and quietly replicate themselves, not enough to generate much of a heat signature. And then when there's enough of them, they suddenly turn to an attack phase. And in approximately 90 replications, they could devour the entire ecosphere.
This is sometimes called the gray goo scenario.
Well, let's start from today. We have virtual worlds like Second Life. It's flat, it's on the little screen over here, it's kind of cartoon-like. Despite that, the fact that it's not very realistic yet, we see harbingers of everything we do in real life, from runs on banks to virtual romances to virtual concerts and all kinds of activities that we do in real life. And in fact, for people who've been on Second Life just for the past year, they've seen a substantial increase in the realism of that virtual world. The next step is we're going to put it in our eyeglasses. It'll beam images right to our retina and put us in a three-dimensional, full immersion visual auditory environment. So rather than being here, it'll be three-dimensional, and it won't be three-dimensional out there. We'll be in this three-dimensional environment, and we'll be able to walk around, and we'll feel like we'll be able to look at ourselves, but we wouldn't necessarily have the same body that we have in real reality. And it'll become more and more realistic. Go out 10 years, it's going to be just about as realistic as real reality. Still not within the nervous system. Go out 20 years, 25 years, these nanobots, these blood cell-sized devices, will be going in our bodies, keeping us healthy from inside. We'll have some go inside our brains through the capillaries, non-invasively. They'll be interacting with our biological neurons. They'll extend our memory, our decision-making faculties. They'll put our brains on the internet. And they'll also enable us to enter a virtual reality environment from within the nervous system. So if I want to go in a virtual reality environment, the nanobots will shut down the signals coming from my real eyes and my real skin and create the signals that would be appropriate for the virtual environment. And then it'll feel like I'm in that environment. And I'll have a virtual body in that environment. It could be the same body I have in real reality, or it could be a different body. A couple could become each other. Experience a relationship from the other's perspective. A teacher could assign a student to become Ben Franklin in a virtual constitutional Congress, not just dress up as him, but become that character. And these virtual environments will be like websites. You'll have millions to choose from, and some will be recreations of beautiful earthly environments like the Taj Mahal or a Mediterranean beach. Some will be fantastic imaginary environments that couldn't exist on Earth. And these are not just sort of places to play, although we'll do that as well. These will be places to interact with other people, and it will be an extension of real reality, just as Second Life is today. I mean, for some people it's a game, for some people it's quite serious. It's a place to be, and this place to be, a virtual reality, will become more and more realistic, more and more full immersion, more and more detailed, and more imaginative. I think IBM's involvement with the game of Jeopardy is just one more example among many of the intelligent things that computers can do. I predicted in the 80s that a computer would beat the world chess champion by 1998. It happened in 1997. That seemed ridiculous when they made the prediction. As soon as it happened, people dismissed it. Oh, well, chess is not such a big deal after all. But computers will never play Go, because that's really requires intelligence. Well, now computers can beat masters at Go, and we don't think that's such a big deal. There's actually hundreds of intelligent things that computers can do, and they're not all games. They're in fact part of our modern everyday infrastructure, financial transactions, detecting credit card fraud, designing products, diagnosing electrocardiograms, guiding intelligent weapon systems, flying and landing airplanes. I mean, I could mention 100 applications that are part of everyday life, where computers are doing things that used to require human intelligence. Now, these are all examples of narrow AI, meaning it's some narrow task. But the narrowness is gradually getting broader, and it's being driven by exponential growth in our understanding of the human brain. And that's really the grand frontier now in being able to create intelligent machines, and we're making exponential progress in that.